All right, I think we're ready to go. You boys ready to start?
I think I
Yeah.
am.
Excellent. Hello and welcome to Next to Nothing, a show where we talk about how to game on a budget. And real quick, before I actually let me introduce my co-host real quick. With me is MrGreenElite. How you doing, Green?
Hi. I'm doing fantastic. How are you, Danny?
I'm doing wonderful. RevSven, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am
Oh,
fantastic. So I have some shout outs and plugs and stuff, but I was kind of thinking today as getting stuff ready for the podcast. Um, we talk about this game or for this show being for gamers on a budget, and I got a little bit of an awakening this week as to or just a reminder as to why I decided to go that specific angle because I could just talk about fucking games on a podcast, but specifically for a budget in which, I got hit by another just inconvenient car repair that ended up costing me $260. I had to get my windshield wiper motor replaced because you can't drive in Iowa in the winter or in the spring or summer or fall, basically ever without working windshield wipers. In which $260, it's an inconvenience to me, kind of a major inconvenience, but it's not a death sentence. And for some people, it is. Some people who, need a vehicle to drive to get to work on time, that can be could be a major purchase if they're falling on hard times. And we hope that here we help save you guys some money. And that's our goal to help you guys decide, entertainment is a minor part of your finances, but it's an important part of your finances because you can't just, uh, you know, live your life working and sleeping. You need something to decompress, and we hope our goal here is to help you guys um, make good financial decisions in terms of your entertainment every week. So hopefully you guys enjoy the show, and hopefully you guys can get some of that out of there. Um, I do want to do some shout outs and plugs real quick before the show actually starts. One shout out to Sid Alpha, who put out his last Day of Dragons video this last weekend. He did a lot of great work on those videos. It's really eye opening for what he did. He deserves all the support and applause for those videos. So go check him out over on YouTube. Congratulations to our friend Elliot Argues. You might see him in the live chat tonight. He's also going to be our guest next week. He does a show called Tessa and Elliot Argue, where he does a podcast with his wife. That is absolutely hilarious, and they are celebrating 1 year doing that show. So go check him out and check out his other podcast, Budget Arcade. And then one announcement that I wanted to do before the show, before we got into the meat and potatoes of the show, is that we are sponsoring Dead Shatter and Zero, who we as a podcast, I should say. He is an esports iRacing player. He currently races under the team SWA Motorsports in the SYM TV League. So you guys can find him over at Twitter at NT, or I'm sorry, that's an old Twitter handle for ourselves. You can find him over at Twitter at Dead Shattern. That's DADCHADRON. And you guys can see a sexy, sexy car with that awesome NTN logo on it, which we watched and kept up with his race on Saturday. And he did fairly well for the first race of the league. Green,
it was phenomenal.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he started at like 32 in the pole and pushed his way up to seventh or eighth and was holding there for a good while. Like, kudos to that guy. Like, and this is like legitimate, like an actual VR race. Like, you're in the seat of this car and it's like an actual 120 lap race. I don't know if I have the patience to sit there for a whole 120 laps plus cautions and shit to do that. Like I don't know. I don't think I could just sit there and whew, yeah. So that was it
Not
was
to mention
phenomenal.
those penalties from speeding in the pit and whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
it runs like an actual NASCAR race. Like I said, it's the iRacing simulator game. And he's got because I know Dead Shatter personally, and I've seen his setup. He's got the wheel and the pedals and the VR setup, everything. It's super realistic. I've played a little bit of it. Um, over on his rig, and it's very impressive. So we will announce whenever he does the races live. So make sure that you guys follow us on Twitter or Instagram or anywhere else. Go follow and make sure you go follow Dead Chattern Zero, who actually just popped up in the Twitch chat. Links will be in the description of the podcast episode. If you're on YouTube or on the audio only feeds, we'll make sure that you guys see that stuff down there as well. But let's get into the meat and potatoes of the show here. Rev, you built a new PC. Let's hear about it. First, let's talk about what your build is and what it roughly cost you, other than
Okay,
your
so
sanity.
other than my saying, okay, because that was the greatest cost. So I'm currently running it's a X470 motherboard. I looked over here like it was still sitting on the floor. It's been here for so long. It's an X470 motherboard with an AMD Ryzen 7 2700X processor with the Wraith cooler. I've got an Nvidia 1070 in there, 4 sticks of 4 gig RAM, which I am going to be upgrading to 4 sticks of 8 gig in the future. Uh, and then just a 750 watt, you know, power supply. I'm a big fan of the case itself because it's a Corsair Obsidian 750D Airflow edition. It's a thick boy. Like I was able to move stuff around in there without having to unplug anything. There's so much room. It's not got all your fancy RGB lights or anything because I'm in this closet. Who's going to see it? But yeah, that's what I'm running. And honestly, the cost of it wasn't too high because all I actually paid for was the processor, um, the case, the power supply, and the motherboard. Everything else, the RAM, the graphics card, stuff like that was donated to me, and other people helped actually essentially kind of fundraise certain parts for me. So all in all, I probably only paid maybe $400 or $500 total in this thing, and
which
and a
which for a
lot of
PC
sanity.
build, which for building a PC, that's pretty cheap.
Yeah, it would have been
Yeah.
$100 cheaper, but I did have to buy the power. Somebody had donated me a power supply, but it was bad, so I had to buy a new one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was not the funnest of times. This has been a long time coming. It has been like 8 months in the works. I think I bought the case like 8 months ago, and then things just kept coming up and kept happening, and I wasn't able to get parts, uh, and finally things started coming together, and then I got it all put together. By the way, I put it all together myself. Um, I watched a tutorial and put it all together, and when I went and flipped that switch and it didn't come on, my heart sank. I was like, you know what? I'm done. Screw it. No, Xbox ain't done me like this. No, I'm gonna stick with that. And I was like, no, I better get to work. And I figured out that it was just the power supply, so I was able to replace it. Um, it's just it was a process
Yeah.
and a scary one at that.
So you said that a lot of the stuff was donated to you, but for the parts that you did pick and the parts that you did buy,
hmm
what resources did you use, and what you even mentioned, you built it yourself, you watched a video. Talk about like some of the resources, the websites, the YouTube channels, however you decided to go about the decision making process. What were some of those resources?
Well, I used PC Part Picker and the reviews that you see on a lot of their stuff to kind of at least pick out what I would need for what I do. And when somebody I was going to originally get an RX 580 or 590, sorry, for the graphics card, and and yeah, it was going to be plenty for what I needed. But somebody reached out and was like, "Hey, man, I've got this 1070. It works fine. I had it for a month and decided to upgrade. Would you like it?" I'm like, "Yeah. How much you want for it?" He's like, "Just consider it a birthday gift." I'm like, "Well, it's February. My birthday was a long time. Okay, yeah, yeah, I ain't gonna question it. Let's go." And so that was kind of the big deal, or the big resource I used was PC Part Picker. Um, I looked at. I'm going to do a lot of video editing and stuff like that, and I was reading that AMD is better for stuff like video editing and streaming while gaming and all that. So and after talking to Green, I actually, kind of leaned more towards the AMD route. I'm glad I did. I really like it. Also, I scored my processor on Black Friday. Managed to get the whole thing brand new, shipped and all for just I think it was like 127 shipping tax and all. So I thought that was a pretty good deal. I even used Black Friday to get my keyboard, which is I'll show you. It's a it's a Mage G Mark 1 mechanical keyboard. It's little, but it's pretty. And it was originally like $120 or something like that, and I paid like $15 for it. It was like a 20-minute flash sale that somebody got a notification on. They were like, "Hey, you still need a keyboard?" I'm like, "Yeah, here, get this, hurry." I'm like, "All right."
Those 60%ers are really nice too. Like,
Yeah, I'm really
I-
enjoying it actually.
I wish I got a 60% because I've got a full size or Razer Shinosha. I could get it up that high. I can't get it up. But it's full size. It's bulky. So having like a 60% is super nice. I'm eventually gonna invest in a couple 60%ers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I mean it's nice. It's definitely a space saver. And of course I still have, my Stream Deck that I've had for all this time that I haven't been able to use because my old laptop couldn't run it while streaming. And I was also given an Alienware mouse, which is doing just fine so far. But I did go out and buy a Corsair mat, I say mouse pad. It's more like a doormat sitting here.
Oh yeah, one of the extended mouse pads.
Yeah, was not anticipating. My webcam, my coffee, my mouse, keyboard, and Stream Deck are all sitting on it, and they're still part of it's hanging off the desk. I mean, like, what am I doing? Yeah, I saw it and I was like, oh, this is $20. This looks like it'll be fine. Nope, should have pumped the brakes on that one, kid. But no, I needed something like that because of the sound my mouse sliding across this particle board desk was making. It was just too much. But yeah. So long story short, a lot of my resources were PC part picker and friends reaching out whenever they saw flash sales, like, hey, here's your chance, get it. I'm like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah. Then I had some other questions here that I wanted to ask you. Just some fun questions.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any like frustrations putting it together? Actually taking everything and slotting it in and all that stuff?
Aside from just being a nervous wreck because I've never done it before, I didn't really have a lot of frustrations. I think it was just the caffeine, but my hands were kind of shaking real bad. I was like, am I nervous or am I just overly caffeinated? But now the process itself actually went pretty smooth. The guy in the YouTube video was real concise in his explanation of everything because I actually, it was one about installing that exact same motherboard and all of the stuff with it. So it was like, oh, okay, cool. It's going to be exactly what I need to get going. And so everything was really good, and I was super excited until I plugged it in and I hit that power switch, and all I heard was a
yeah.
And yeah, then all the frustration and everything came bearing down on me, and I threw stuff, I cussed, I didn't, but I wanted to. I was like, honey, take the kids and go to your sister's. The house may not be here when you get back. No.
Well, the kind of crummy thing about working on computers as opposed to like cars is all the screwdrivers and other tools that you have are just itty bitty little things, so they're not satisfying to throw.
Right. Well, luckily, the only screwdriver I had to have, like actually the only tool that I had to have for all of this was just a standard Phillips screwdriver. That was all it required, and it almost got thrown like into the wall. I was gonna stab it, but I was like, you know what? I may stab like an electrical wire. I don't want to die over this computer. And then I was like, okay, maybe I do. No.
So I got two things. The first thing, how did it feel? How did your heart feel the first time you were pushing in that graphics card into that PCI slot?
Are you talking about whenever I was like getting really nervous because it's like the kind of a push?
Yeah, you really got to give it a nice little push and then that PCI clip actually locks in, and you.
Yeah. No,
How
there's a little bit
of
there. I think during the whole process, you ever see those movies where it's like, do I cut the red wire or the blue wire? It like zooms in on the guy's face and he's sweating heavy. That was about a pretty good accurate representation. The only thing was like when I was pushing it, you have to push it kind of hard to get it in there, and I'm sitting there like, am I doing this right? Is it gonna break? Like, what's happening, right? And then finally, that I was watching that clip the whole time, and when it went click, I was like, all right.
Yeah, that's not the only thing in life you have to do that with, by the way.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It's very nerve-wracking, and you have to push real hard and slow. And if you go a little too fast, something's going to break, and it's then it just ends up a mess for
Things come out
everybody.
things come out bent and disformed. It's not a good time.
Or you push too
It
hard,
really is
something
not.
breaks, and then 9 months later, you got yourself a real mess. Because it takes that long to usually like raise the funds for a new
Yeah. Well, and that's actually a really good question, Green, because that's a nerve wracking. If it's your first PC
God.
build, I still get nervous when like I had to reseat my GPU into the PCIe Express slot recently, and just reseating it got me like. Right, and like I'm like touching every like little metal bit to discharge all my static and stuff, and I'm like, all right.
Terrifying.
Yeah, no, it is a nerve wracking part of the PC build because it's a computer. You think you need to be like super delicate with it, and you need to be delicate, but you also need to be actually
Firm and assertive.
and assertive. Yeah.
That's
Firm
a fair
and
one.
assertive.
Whenever I was installing the RAM, it was like that. I was like, all right, so because sometimes when you install that RAM, you got to give it that good old push too until it clicks down. So I'm like, man, is this a DDR3 and not a D? What is going on here? And then of course you got you're installing your CPU, and that's where you got to be a little more delicate. You're like, oh, make sure it's lined up and slotted right and everything. And then I will say I thought I broke it right out the gate because the little backing plate that the cooler screws into is not secured in there. It's just in there for you. You secure it to the board with the cooler essentially. I was like, what did I just break? No. Then I realized that's all it was. I was like,
what kind of
God.
cooler do you have in there? Is it a stock cooler?
Yeah, it's the one that came with the CPU, the Wraith cooler. It's got really good reviews.
Does it?
I had a lot of friends that know a lot about computers actually say it's actually a pretty good cooler.
It is. It's definitely better than the stock one that comes with the 2500X.
Yeah.
I do have I also have
2600X.
I also have this heat sink cooler that somebody sent to me just in case, but I don't know what to do with this.
It looks like a Noctua maybe or a Hyper. I'm not sure.
I have a hypercooler. So installing that caused me all sorts of problems because it was the one I have. It's one of the ones that has like aluminum fins, and then you snap the fan on the side. And I really struggled because it has like this like scissor mounting. And so you put the scissor mounting in, and then you put your thermal paste in, and just like you don't want the thermal paste to really get outside of the bounds of the cooler interfacing with the CPU, and so it would just like kind of slip and slide as I tried to tighten it down, and I'm like, shit, there's like thermal paste kind of leaking out the side here, and it took me a couple tries to get my cooler mounted, my heatsink mounted properly. Here's my other question for you. Yeah, I have something very similar to that. What's it say on it?
Cooler Master?
Cooler Master.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I have.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it hadn't even been used yet, so I guess at least I had this on standby just in case. But
yeah,
this is intimidating. This looks like it goes in a car.
Oh, you should see the new Corsair coolers. Massive. They're huge. There's another brand that came out with this like monstrosity of a cube. It's like a big ass cube of just metal fins and heat pipes. And it's been all up on Linus. So
yeah. So my next question for you, Padre, was other than the OS and the antivirus, what were the first things you installed on that PC?
The very first thing I installed on this PC was and I the drivers and whatnot, but Steam. Steam was the very first thing I installed, and then after that was actually the first game I installed was not for broadcast because I want to redo that with the better processing power now. I could actually tell you like what I installed in order was not for broadcast: Paladins, Dauntless, CS:GO. God help me with that one. Sundered, which I will be reviewing in a couple of
That's-
weeks. And then Broomstick League, Aeolus Tournament, which are 2 pre-release games that I'm going to try out, Apex, and then my OBS Studios after that. I was like, I'm getting all my gaming stuff in, and then I'm going to start working on my stream stuff.
Yeah.
I think I had this thing for like 4 days before I ever even started streaming on it. I think it was like a full 4 days. I was like, geez.
Yeah.
I was chomping at the bit. Like,
I'm trying to just do subliminal noise bits. And just quietly, Destiny 2.
yeah, that one still has not been installed yet. And by the way, for any of you out there that are not already on PC, beware of how many flippin' game launchers you're going to have to download.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, I was not warned of this. So I've got so far I got BattleNet, Steam, Origin, and Epic. And then I was like, all right, cool. And somebody's like, oh yeah, you forgot Uplay, you forgot whatever the one Tarkov is on, you forgot Bethesda. I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm done. I've got all I need right now.
You know, if you
listened,
listened,
Rockstar Games too.
the Rockstar Games launcher.
God.
You know, if you listened to the podcast before you guys came on, you know, you would know that we talked about GOG Galaxy as well, and how that's going to be like a universal launcher. You're also forgetting the Xbox launcher.
I think that one actually came already installed on it because I opened it up and started downloading some of the Game Pass games since my Game Pass carried over.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of launchers in PC. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Y'all just need to put y'all's differences aside.
Well, GOG Galaxy, I think it's still in beta. That's going to be like a universal launcher that GOG is putting out, where it'll just have everything right there. It'll auto detect all the games, I think. Oh, don't forget that Discord is technically a launcher now too.
I did, yeah. Wait, have I downloaded Discord yet?
Oh, there's also the Amazon Prime game.
Because we're on it.
If you're doing your Twitch, if you're doing Twitch Prime games, Amazon Prime has its own launcher as well.
Oh my god! You know what? No, I'm good. I'm good. Epic better come correct because I am done.
Here's the problem: is that I just in like our conversation about getting all these fucking launchers, I keep coming up with new ones.
They don't need to come up with new ones.
I just keep coming up with ones that I remember are like a thing.
Oh, that are already in existence?
Yes, because
it's like Netflix and Hulu, to be perfectly honest. Like,
yeah,
it's the same concept. Like, each game is on.
At least there's only 2 of those.
Yeah,
you have your HBO Go and your
CBS Plus,
and you have your
CW
Disney Plus.
I'm sorry, I'm offended you guys didn't mention Crackle in there.
Crackle, VRV,
Crackle is the Minesweeper. Okay, it's its own thing.
Verve, Crunchyroll.
I do use Pluto TV. I will say
it's Pluto TV's not bad. It's not bad. If you just
it's really good for kickboxing. If you like Glory Kickboxing, Crackle.
Didn't I tell, just as a very quick tangent, didn't I also tell you about Combat Go, which is
you did, and I couldn't find it.
Really? It's on the Roku channel.
I'm gonna have to go. Wait, is that a channel within the Roku thing, or is it an actual Roku channel?
It's within the Roku software itself, like the actual Roku channel.
Got you. That's why I didn't find it. Okay.
Yeah. Well, anything else on Rev's PC build that we want to talk about? Anything about the process? Any questions I didn't ask? Green?
I have the scariest moment. I just want to bring up the scariest moment I've ever PC build. And it wasn't actually my own PC build. My friend Elite Pony, for Christmas this year, his wife got him, well, not wife, girlfriend, got him a Z390, the 1151 LGA socket, the new 300 series. Well, not new, but relatively new. And he comes to me the next day after he opens it, and he's like, "Dude, I have to get a CPU for this. I'm ready. I'm ready to upgrade. It's been 6 years." I'm like, "Well, how big you want to go?" And he's like, I want 99. So he bucks up and he purchases this $500 i9 9900K. He wants me to help him put it together. He gets it in. I come over. We're trying to figure out how to get this goddamn Intel CPU out of this box because it comes in a literal hexagon cube. It literally looks like an engram from Destiny 2.
It does. It's like a dodecahedron.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
looks like a D20.
we finally figured this thing out. We pull this fucker out, right? But when you pull it out of the case, it's not wrapped inside there. The box is loose. So I picked the box up that the CPU is in. Bloop. CPU falls right out. Half the box comes out with it. So thank God it lands on the box. The box side down. Not the CPU down, box side down. I have never been more afraid in my entire life over anything. By dropping a $500 CPU on the ground.
Calling you
And it
fucking
wasn't
Linus
even
over
mine.
there.
Yeah, like that's literally after I'm like, oh, I'm like,
You got some extra shorts. I have pooed myself in fear.
This, I guess maybe this won't work because I don't have it on autofocus. This is the shape of the i9 boxes. It looks like a fucking D20 from a Dungeons and Dragons dice set.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
I actually had somebody send me a video that it actually ended up making me more nervous installing mine because it was a video of somebody actually showing how to install stuff and everything. They pick up this motherboard and didn't have the CPU locked down, and so they turn it and the CPU just falls on the ground. You hear like the metal thud on the ground. It's just like he just freezes, and that was where the video ended. I'm like, did I really need that right now? Could you have not? No, I was like, you
Was
know
it
what?
a
I'm doing
Linus
this
Tech
over
Tips
carpet.
video?
He has ruined multiple CPUs, like busting up the pins from just dropping Linus Tech Tips, like
the
all the time.
Linus Tech Tips, don't do this.
Yeah, like the $10,000 fucking CPU he was using to make like a multiple editing station PC.
The Epic, it was
Yeah.
the Rome Epic. Yeah, that, and he had to buy another one, and he ended up buying like 3 of them total because he was doing like a dual CPU thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the worst video, and something I don't know if you've seen yet, Rev, but you should definitely take a look at, is the Verge PC build.
Oh,
It is
yeah.
I haven't seen
best.
That is such a
It
meme.
is best worst advice for building a PC on the planet.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's you'll watch it now after building a PC and you'll understand why The Verge got shat on.
Yeah.
Absolutely shat on for months after that video came
He
out.
used like a full tablespoon of thermal paste. Like just fucking getting it.
I'm gonna have to watch these now. See,
Oh,
and I'll
it's-
say, like, after building my own, getting it all put together and everything, it made me actually like start to question, like, why do people pay other people to do this? Because it was actually like once you get through it all, you realize, wow, that was actually really simple.
Yeah.
You were
Back in the
literally a
day,
YouTube video
like,
away.
everything's moving more modular in the PC industry. Like 10 years ago, it was a lot more difficult to put these PCs together.
Yeah.
Everything's moving into a lot more modular design. Like the motherboard used to be like you had to do a whole bunch of shit to it and programming, and now it's just drop it in, good to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was super. So,
Fantastic.
like I said, if you're on your first go, it's a little nerve wracking whenever you're sitting there like shoving that that graphics card in there, or you're sitting there having to try to be real meticulous with your screws and everything. But once you get the feel for it, you're like, wow, this took me like an hour. Like, why is this? If people pay people lots of money to do this, I'm like, heck, maybe I'll start charging people to build their PCs for them.
Yeah.
It's like, somebody buy me some McNuggies and I'll build your PC.
And I'll make nuggies, and I want the barbecue sauce too, motherfucker. Don't you forget my barbecue sauce.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a brief. You were talking about brief tangents. I got to go with this real quick. The McDonald's in my town, for some reason, I like the signature sauce that you can order for dipping. It's almost like mac sauce, but not quite.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, 10 times in a row, I would say, I want these McNuggies with a signature sauce, and I would get it with literally no sauce. I'm like, so your signature is nothing? What? And I got so frustrated. Oh my God. And there's sorry. It just McNuggies need sauce. If you eat dry McNuggies, you are a criminal.
Did your McDonald's have the spicy Szechuan sauce came out?
You mean the glorified teriyaki? Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I don't care
I
what
wasn't a
anyone
fan.
says. The Mulan spicy Szechuan sauce. Rick and Morty brought it back.
I know, and that's all fine and dandy, but God
was
bless. It
tasty.
was literally it was like Carl's Jr. teriyaki sauce is all it was.
I genuinely enjoyed it. It was better than the sweet and sour sauce. So
That can confirm.
So you enjoyed the teriyaki sauce, the essentially GreenElite. Did you enjoy the Nvidia GeForce Now service?
That's the best segue I've ever heard.
Boom!
Segueing into the Nvidia GeForce. So now that we're pushing on to the Nvidia GeForce review by the one and only MrGreenElite, that's how you segue, Danny.
Except on Instagram, there's another MrGreenElite, but
we're not discussing that guy. So last week we were talking about the Nvidia GeForce Now, which dropped, I believe, last week, right?
Yeah, it came out of beta last week or the week before.
Mm-hmm. So relatively new service. I decided to actually give it a try. That night after the podcast last week, and especially since it's a free service, and you don't have to pay anything for it. I mean, that is the absorbent of being free. I wanted to give it a go, so I downloaded it while we were actually talking about it on my phone. It took a few things to get it set up. I had to log into my Steam and my Origin. So I thought I got on it after we were done doing the podcast. I set it up on with my PlayStation 4, like a spare PlayStation 4 controller I had left over. It was rough. It was very, very rough when I first tried it. The latency with the controller that I had was god awful. However, a couple days later, I decided to give it another shot. I tried the overlay control that came with the program or the app on my phone, and it was a night and day difference. So I thought I'll try a different controller. I swapped it out with a more used PS4 controller that I had upstairs. And latency, as long as you're getting a good reception with your Wi-Fi, actually very much improved the experience overall. So I've actually been using it more frequently. I haven't really gotten to like a full steady hour each time I sit down to it. I was doing it at work when I had free time, on my lunch break and stuff like that. The latency generally improved. I don't know if it was just because of the controller or if it was my internet connection, what have you, but it was very negligible on the amount of latency that actually came from my controller or movement after that first initial time. So I'm actually gonna change my stance on this. Originally, I was I would say, against it, unless it was for the right person. However, if you're someone like me who has a full-size desktop PC, I got rid of my laptop. So for something that's more mobile, and you don't actually have to purchase any new games or anything like that, you don't have to do any registration rights through a whole different launcher. All the games are the same games that you're using. It's fantastic for mobile. Is it a competition system where I could get on my phone and play a competition match of Apex? Absolutely not. But I mean, if you're just going out of town for the weekend, going to family members, they have good Wi-Fi. You take your PlayStation controller with you, hook it up to your Android phone. You can play that same PC level game on your phone and still have a decent time playing it. I am considering doing the $5 a month just to try it out, just to see if there's like a noticeable difference with the queue times and stuff like that. But I'm actually guilty pleasurely enjoying it more than I thought I would, especially since that latency really smoothed out.
So that's, you said that's, you're doing that from your mobile to like with a controller plugged into your phone.
Yes. Yeah. They did have some recommended controllers site, which was one we actually talked about for CES. The Razer Raiju, right? And then the Razer Raiju, the Razer, I think Jungle Cat,
Mm-hmm.
which both of those controllers are not cheap whatsoever. The SteelSeries Status Duo. And there was another one. If you are interested in getting a different controller than the one that you have, which I wouldn't recommend anyways, because you already have that controller, and the whole purpose of this is for budget. I would recommend at least looking into the SteelSeries one, because that one on Amazon is like $30. The biggest part with that though is your phone doesn't clip to that controller without a separate special clip that goes on that controller, which is another $10. So, but if you have a PS4 controller and Xbox controller, you can always just Bluetooth it with your phone, anyways. So, I mean, why not do that way?
So you didn't get to test it out with like a laptop or anything, just on mobile?
I tried to do it on my work computer, and it allowed me to download the program, but the firewall with the ISP would not allow me to play the game. So I tried.
You did your damnedest.
Well, once it gave me the ping, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm in trouble.
I have my laptop spare here now, so I can actually give it a shot on laptop, see how it all plays, and
Yeah,
talk
you
about that
just
next
log
week.
into either log into it if you already have you can log into it like that, or if you can make an account, it's free to make the account.
Mhm.
It'll give you the option to do the free one or the $5 a month one. Then you go from there, log into your you'll give you your list of options, and you just search the game that you want to play. So you have like, let's say you wanted to play Apex, so you search Apex, or if it's on the home screen, you click it, and then it'll take you to your Origin login. Like it'll connect to that stream or the source PC first. So you connect to that source one, log into your Origin from there, and then you just click play, and then it plays the game on the source PC, sends the information to whatever you're playing it on. The
Interesting.
biggest thing is the connection speed that you have from what you're playing on to that source PC. So it as far as I'm aware, it does not recommend you do Wi-Fi or standard like non-Wi-Fi on your phone. Cellular data, yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
gonna apologize real quick to the viewers. It seemed like my internet connection or my upload speed just kind of dipped there real quick. Everything should be okay now. Sorry, Green. Continue.
No, you're fine. The internet doesn't want to hear me talk. Where was I? So the cellular data, it doesn't like you playing. It doesn't look like it recommends it at all. It will give you if you're on a 2.5 gigahertz Wi-Fi connection, it will tell you it runs better on a 5 gigahertz, but it will allow you to play it on the 2.5. So the biggest thing is that connection speed that you have because of the latency with what you input in the control, sending to the source PC, sending back to you. So when I was playing it, there would be times where I'd lose a little bit of connection, and it would warn me latency is high, and that's when I could definitely tell, oh, it's going to be running a little bit slow from what I put in to what's actually going to happen.
Awesome. So I had some other questions here about like the whole system and how everything ran. Um, so UI and everything like that, everything was understandable and readable. Like you could just zip and zap in the app and be just fine.
Yeah, it was actually really smooth in there.
Awesome. And then, were there any stores or any like monetization options that you saw like right up front? Was there like an option like, hey, buy these games here, or like upgrade right away, right here, stuff like that?
No, it didn't really like notify me of like um when I signed into it this on my work PC. It did immediately pop up the which program do you want to do, the free one or the $5 one.
Mm-hmm.
When you do pull it up, it will um, show you your library of what you recently played,
Mm-hmm.
and then it'll show some featured games. Um, but the best part about that is it tells you where you would be buying them from. So when I pull it up, the first thing featured is Fortnite, and under that it says Epic Games. So when you tap to it, it actually takes you. If you click play, it'll take you to your Epic launcher
Mm-hmm.
through that app, so you can purchase or download that game.
Awesome. Um, anything else in terms of the like how it went? You know what else people should know about this if they're getting interested in it. Um, and then I have like a little bit of news that I can add to the end of this into this conversation here.
Um, so the only thing, the key takeaway is A, it's free, A, it's mobile, or B, it's mobile,
Mm-hmm.
and A, and C, it's accessible. So, as long as you have the connection, you can actually take it where you need to go. Don't look at it as something that's going to be instant or like a desktop PC. It's not going to be the same performance.
Mm-hmm.
So don't think you're going to be getting a 8-core 2080 Super PC streaming or playing at 144 hertz, and it's going to be 0.5 millisecond response time
Mm-hmm.
with your screen and your input and stuff like that. That's not going to happen. But for a mobile standpoint, like especially if you look at it as playing a mobile game,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot better, a lot of better graphics, and you're actually playing a full title game.
Yeah. You know, there's not a lot of games that really have that, console or PC level graphics, except for today's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legend.
ntnstore.com.
ntnstore.com.
Coming to the new NTN launcher because we need another one.
Apparently, Raid Shadow Legends does have a PC app now. I am actually going to go back because
don't disbelieve it.
I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to look at Raid Shadow Legends again because a lot of people are talking about it again. Apparently, there's been new updates. I want to check out the PC app anyways. I just keep forgetting to do it. So that's in the future. A little bit of news.
Let's be honest. You just want to look at all the women in the heels, because every single character has heels.
Every single female character in that game has heels. You are right, and I pointed that out on Instagram. Guys, I am very woke, and I need you guys to validate my opinions. I will be your beta male cuck.
Go on.
So a little bit of news just surrounding GeForce Now. So basically, like right after we got done with talking about it on Tuesday, um, is Activision Blizzard pulled all their games from the service. This is what an Nvidia rep said. Quote, per their request, please be advised that Activision Blizzard games will be removed from the service. While unfortunate, we hope to work together with Activision Blizzard to re-enable these games and more in the future. Apparently, this was caused just by a misunderstanding between the two companies, which is very weird for huge multi-million dollar, multi-billion dollar firms to have a misunderstanding on this level, but whatever. Basically what happened was that Activision Blizzard was going to let Nvidia have their games on the service throughout the beta. It didn't apply to post-launch. So Activision's like, hey, whoa guys, we didn't agree to be on after post-launch. We need to talk about this. And Nvidia's like, oh shit. Okay, yeah, we'll take it off right away.
What's the difference? What's the difference between beta and full release? Like, it's okay to be while you're doing it, but once you go live,
right.
No siree. Like, okay.
Yeah, that's it was so weird to me. Like, why? That had me scratching my fucking head as to why the real difference was. It also just made me scratch my head is like, how do these two multi-million-dollar corporations not communicate on that?
And Nvidia pushed Modern Warfare, like the new Modern Warfare type, a lot. Like, especially with like the ray tracing aspect. Like, they have a stake in Modern Warfare. So like, to think that they're not like tight enough to be like, hey, can we use your games in streaming system, it's kind of funky to me.
Yeah. So that's the news surrounding the Activision Blizzard thing. Anything else related to Nvidia GeForce Now that we want to talk about?
No, like I said, I'm gonna give it a shot on the laptop. Now that I have this, I'm just kind of sitting over here doing nothing. Might as well, see what it's like, because I'll hardwire the laptop and try to get an idea about, whether or not it's even. I mean, I'm assuming it'd be better than mobile, but we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah. So I'm interested to see when Activision Blizzard will come back, and I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts and opinions on it on different devices. So just real quick, because I think it's about time for us to take a break. Before we go to break, we did get live here. We did get a raid from the Real Dink. Appreciate you, the Real Dink. Thank you for the raid. Usually don't do shout outs like that live, but I think it warranted it. So we're gonna run a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll see you guys here in just a little bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome
All right, and we are back from break. Thank you guys for letting us take that little break. Our next story is a fairly interesting one. And it's, I got to get a sound effect, lined up here real quick. It is just the sexiest story I think we're ever going to talk about, and that is the IRS looking at gaming currencies.
Daddy.
Just the hottest, sexiest thing. But it is important. So I think I will give you guys kind of the lowdown. So let me go over this here. So references to Fortnite's V-Bucks and Roblox's Robux have been removed from the United States Internal Revenue Service, aka the IRS, website in a section that details reporting requirements for virtual currencies. Everyone just rub your nipples with me. It's okay. Take cold showers. Everything will be good. The reference was on the website since at least October of 2019, and in the cached pages on things like, the Wayback Machine, you can still see it. This is what it said, quote, virtual currency that has an equivalent value in real currency or that acts as a substitute for real currency is referred to as convertible virtual currency. Bitcoin, Ether, Roblox, which is what they actually said, was Roblox, not Robux, and V-Bucks are a few examples of a convertible currency. Virtual currencies can be digitally traded between users and can be purchased for or exchanged into US dollars, euros, and other real or virtual currencies. End quote.
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Okay, boomer. Whoever did that, whoever quoted that, or whoever was the source for that.
Yeah.
Okay, boomer.
First off, let me just say, a lot of it is inaccurate to a lot of these gaming currencies, but we'll get into that here in a minute. So currently, the page removed all but the Bitcoin reference. According to the IRS Chief Counsel Michael Desmond, the inclusion of those two currencies, being Robux and V-Bucks, was a mistake. A representative from Epic said they firmly believe that V-Bucks should be exempt from taxation as they cannot be traded between players and cannot be cashed out. Henceforth, they are not convertible. I will say, it was also mentioned that Robux can be cashed out, but under specific conditions, and all tax information and consequences are shown up front when you cash them out. Again, guys, just... I know, just the hottest conversation we could have, guys. Try to keep it in your pants.
The only thing that I can think of is just some absolute human version of a weasel just sitting here like, there's digital money.
You could say
how
chode.
can we tax the money? How can we take this money?
So really, the important thing is here that it's not that the government is actually taxing you for owning V-Bucks. What the important part is here is that they're looking at these currencies and wondering, first off, they're trying to understand them in the first place.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. And the IRS is looking at them as a source of revenue for the government. Which is something that Jackson Hewitt, Chief Tax Officer Mark Steber, Steber, sorry Mark if I mispronounced your last name, said that this is a sign that the IRS will be putting a greater focus on virtual currencies in the future. He said, quote, more guidance, more rules, more requirements, more oversight and monitoring by the IRS. It's no longer something that's just going to live in the background shadows. There's too much money there, which... no surprise. It's not as if the gaming industry makes more money than the movie, TV, and music industries put together. And it's not like microtransactions haven't been a big part of that over the last 2 to 3 years. Well, really, it's in the last 5 to 7 years, probably.
the biggest thing is they don't want to tax that money. They just want to tax the exchange of that money.
Yeah.
It wants the money.
Yeah, which you're exchange of that money. Well, first off, part of this, I mean, you almost have to think about like V-Bucks and some of these other currencies, more like gift cards, right? These are like, it's, which I always find gift cards to be like a funny gift because gift card is just giving someone money and telling them that they have to spend it at this one location, and that's kind of what this is. It's like, yeah, no, you can take this money, but you have to spend it here, and you can't get it back.
Give them a gift card, Henry, so that they can't bugs.
Yeah, like Grandma, I love you. I dearly, deeply do from the bottom of my heart, but why did I get a $20 Starbucks gift card? I don't drink Starbucks. And now I've got to go to a Starbucks and spend $20 somehow.
Just buy one drink.
Right. Well, oh man. I need to figure out how to charge exactly $20 on my gift card with one drink.
Without going a penny over.
Without going a penny over. That's my next goal. So yeah, a lot of these are like gift cards, and really, if they're going to be taxed at all, they need to be taxed up front because it's a sales purchase. It's not converting one currency into another. It's a sales purchase. It's buying a gift card. And so with a lot of these being set up that way, being set up like they're a gift card, the only developer or the only platform I think might get in any sort of trouble would be Steam. But there's no official way to actually transfer funds out of Steam, out of your Steam wallet. You have to go through third parties, and a lot of that is like you set up your skins, like your CSGO skins, and you set, or your Dota 2 skins or whatever else, your hats on fucking Team Fortress, you set those up on a third party marketplace, and a lot of times it's like, oh yeah, no, you're just going to get whatever the value is sent to your PayPal account. That's how that works. So, which is a whole other mess for the IRS to try to figure out, which I don't have the confidence in them to figure that out.
No.
I mean,
they make us figure out how much money we owe them. They aren't going to figure this out on their own.
Here's the thing: is that they know.
What I'm saying, though. They know exactly how much you owe. They just want you to figure that shit out yourself too.
And if you're wrong, you go to jail or you get audited.
Oh hell yeah! They're like, we know exactly how much you're gonna be giving us every year. However, we want you to be aware how much money you're gonna be giving us this year. Okay, just so you know who owns you. See, and that's my biggest stance. Taxation is theft. Okay, and
yellow 2020.
no one gets born and they're like, hey, you want to pay taxes? Like as a toddler? No. You're like, you're born. Hey, guess what happens in 18 years, motherfucker? Yeah.
It's not even 18 years, by the way. It's not even 18 years. If you work at 16, you're paying taxes.
Oh hell yeah! They're like, and you have no choice.
And then everything that you spend money on is also taxed.
Oh hell yeah! And then
you want that gum, kid?
The funniest thing?
They charge you an extra nickel for it.
Yeah. The funniest thing that I could ever see is like let's say you log on to Fortnite and you're like, I'm gonna buy some V-Bucks today. You pay the sales tax, you pay Epic, you get these V-Bucks. You're all excited. You go into the store, you pick out the item you want. It gives you a sales tax in there that you've already paid for, but you're going to do it again. And it's not going to be like sales tax like actual money. It's going to be sales tax and V-Bucks.
Yeah.
And Epic's going to send that money to the state to pay for that sales tax. And that would be the funniest thing I would ever see in my life. And that would be the time when I'm like, yep, it's time for a hard reset.
Well, welcome to the Next to Nothing Libertarian Corner. Next, we're going to talk about, do we really need driver's licenses?
It's like,
Do we really need roads?
it's like whether you don't use a green screen, you use a green screen or a blue screen, we can all agree the best color is yellow.
Hell yeah. Don't tread on me.
The Next to Nothing Libertarian Corner. Next up, should the government mandate vaccines?
Okay.
So there's a lot.
I do have to get this out, though. Your personal preference on politics is your own.
Yeah.
Do not take ours with any form of merit or a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because that is your personal freedom to believe in and think however you want to. America.
Yeah, because while we are out here, you know, tossing out ideals, I mean, we're all just kind of kidding and being lighthearted right now anyways.
Yeah. And look, I can make fun of libertarian ideals because I lean sort of libertarian. I identify with a lot of the ideas and philosophies, and so I feel like I can make fun of it to some of the extremes that happen within that particular political philosophy. But yeah, there's just like a lot of strangeness here, and I think the biggest takeaway isn't that they're going to tax it. And part of it was, I think they were just confused, thinking that some of this was some sort of like stock withhold or stock holdings, right? That, you know, they tax stock holdings, and you can cash that out. You know, you can get that back out of the market. But that's not how video game markets work at all. So that's the biggest takeaway, is that they're definitely looking at this more and trying to figure out what they can and can't do with it. And you know, at the end of this, if it gets taxed more, if you get taxed for holding value in these things, which again, I don't think they legally can because it's not a cash out system. You know, it's going to affect your wallet. It's going to affect how much you pay in taxes. It's going to affect the end price, because if it gets taxed, it's obviously on you. Epic isn't going to pick up that tab. So that's just that's the more important part here. Just going to be aware of that stuff. Some things I also wanted to mention real quick while we're talking about taxes. First off, don't forget to file. Look, we're in the middle of February. Right now is the perfect time to do it. That way, if you know you're paying, if you figure out you're paying in taxes, especially a lot of our full-time streamer friends who don't pay their taxes, or their employer, aka Twitch, don't pay their taxes for them every paycheck. You know, make sure you do it now, so if you know you owe, or if you find out you owe, you have time to deal with that accordingly. Another thing I wanted to mention real quick is that if you know, there's a lot of quote free services for tax preparer. You know, Hewitt Jackson, like I mentioned them earlier, Tax Block, H&R Block, whoever else. They have all these free services that they kind of sneak charges in on you. They are legally required to offer a completely free service, no hidden charges, all your tax returns, all your other like 1099 forms, all the other forms that are required if you make under $60,000 a year. Legally required. The reason a lot of people don't know this is because, A, obviously the tax preparing services don't want you to know about it because they want to charge you that extra $25 for state or $50 for this 1099 or blah, 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 blah. And they bury it in the SEO results. It is there. You just have to dig for it. Reply All by Gimlet Media did an excellent episode. I know he tweeted it out recently. It's called Dark Patterns. Go check it out, and you know, don't let these tax services screw you out of money. If you make under, I think it's $60,000 across the country. If you make under $60,000, that is, you are, you know, legally available to get that. So make sure you look for it. Don't actually spend, you know, $50 or $75 filing your taxes if you're using one of those online services. That's my rant on on that. And I know for like a lot of our EU or just like our listeners who are not in the United States, they're just like, You have to actually file your taxes? Wait, what? It's a ridiculous part of being an American. Sometimes you have to pay to file your taxes so the government doesn't throw you in jail.
I still don't understand, and I'm not gonna get into the whole
I lost you a little bit there.
So I'm not gonna get into the whole morality of taxes, like forcing people to. However, be conscious of who's doing your taxes, how you're doing it, and how soon you actually get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as you start slipping on it, it starts to completely overbear you. Like I was struggling with it for years because of it. So young and dumb, just get it done.
Yeah. I should also mention that if you get a tax return, like if you every year, if you get like a sizable tax return, that's not necessarily a good thing because that means you've paid over the last year. You've paid more into it than you actually got out of the system. So you want your return at the end of the year, or when you file your taxes, to be as close to zero as possible. You don't want to pay, and you don't want to get necessarily a refund because really that refund is just stuff that you could have already had, and that you're just getting a refund. It's called a refund for a reason. I know we just kind of went into tax talk here, but for like a lot of people who, a lot of college students or a lot of people who are becoming adults, that's something that they don't really think about, and they don't understand how to file their taxes. I was very lucky, and my mother started making me, she actually sat me down when I was 16, 17, when I filed taxes on my part-time jobs or just to see if I had to. And then by 18, I was just doing it on my own. Now there's a lot of like those free tax services, they walk you along. And if you have really simple taxes, they're worth it. They're really easy to do. It's like, how much did you make? I made X amount. Do you have any dependents? Yes, no. Do you have this? Are you military? Yes, no, yes, no. All that stuff. And it's really simple, but it's when you start getting like W-9s and 1099s and, more than one W-2, you're working 2 part-time jobs, or got, left one job and got another. That's when your taxes start getting complicated. So that's a piece of advice from me, someone who is just recently came of age. Stay on top of it.
But no taxes on V-Bucks.
But no taxes on V-Bucks. V-Bucks don't need to be claimed.
Viva la V-Bucks.
Viva la V-Bucks. Any other thoughts on this kind of silly situation?
No, I think it's a good thing that they removed it from there, but it was silly that they had put it in there to begin with.
Well, it just showed a lack of understanding.
It was a solid boomer move.
Oh wow, a bunch of accountants don't understand how this works. Shocker.
Paul, come over here. What's this internet say about this money that's sitting here that we can't touch?
It's got the word bucks in it. It might as well be.
It says it's money. Gotta tax that shit.
What I just find absolutely hilarious is like the cryptocurrency. Like I just kind of think about like, oh yeah, no, Bitcoin. Obviously, like Bitcoin's used for money laundering. Of course it is. That was probably one of the reasons it was created. That and to buy drugs covertly. But yeah, I'm just thinking about the IRS trying to wrap their brains around. So it's like dollars and euros, but there's no country? Wait, who backs this up? Question mark? But
is it internet? Computer?
In the computer.
It's money, but on the computer. But is it like in a bank?
Where is it? Why can't I see it? And why can't I touch it?
And then there's just like that really old accountant at the IRS, like really fucking old. Like he was he was there when Alexander Hamilton was around, and he's just like, "Is it backed by gold?" He still thinks we're on like the gold standard.
And he's like, he's got that little head shake that,
that old person head shake.
yeah, like, I should have retired 20 years ago.
We still in the war. The Oscar's still made of wood.
I'm just imagining, that he's just, that's the reason all of our taxes come back late, is because he's doing it with like an abacus.
And he's like stamping all of the things like, tung.
There are too many Americans. They have to figure it out themselves. I can't do this anymore.
I remember when it was so simple. All I had to do was bake George Washington's fake teeth. I don't understand.
Yeah, nothing else on
Okay,
this silly situation.
Yeah, we need to stop making fun of old people now.
Why, they're not on this website.
Like that one old dude watch. He's like, "Listen here, you son of a bitch!
How dare you?"
Oh yeah, Lucid's in here. Yeah, I know the IRS understands what cryptocurrency is once they stole it all from Silk Road, and there's I'm gonna throw out another podcast here. There's one called the Darknet Diaries, and they did an episode called Oxy Monster, which they detailed all the raids on the dark web drug dealer websites, which was really, really interesting. That's how I learned competitive bearding is a thing, which Padre, let that thing grow out.
If I could stop picking at it when I'm nervous, this thing would be as lush as could be.
Is there anything else we want to talk about, guys?
Oh.
No, I think that was I think we covered that as well and as goofily as we possibly could.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, we are for sure like making just a bunch of libertarian fans today.
Yeah, that's my new thing. Is now going to be the head shake.
No, I'm gonna expect some like invitations to libertarian events now.
Tea party's gonna be knocking on my door.
Right.
I'm actually supposed to be running the video production for the Libertarian Convention for their presidential debates in March.
Oh yeah. I don't even know who's running for that candidacy, but that's not this show. That might be a future show. Or that's not this podcast. Maybe
tune in Thursday.
Tune in Thursday for the politics
Libertarian Power Hour.
The Libertarian Power Hour with your classical liberal host Annie K. These are all the reasons why I hate socialism. Sorry, we're getting very off track, and I'm wearing a lot of shit on my sleeves right now. So that, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the show. GreenElite, what's coming up on your channel?
I don't know. I've been playing so much Apex. Collected my Destiny 2 for quite some time. I probably should log on.
You're you're kind of coming in and out a little bit. Can you say that again?
Apex good. Destiny good. Must play.
Why use many word when few word work?
Okay, so Apex and Destiny 2, where can people find you?
Yeah. You can find me always on twitch.tv/MrGreenElite. That's MrGreenElite. I can spell.
Where else can people find you?
God damn it.
We do this every week.
Every time. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, but Instagram is TTV MrGreenElite because some guy, and we're not going to talk about it. So, yeah. And you can find me on my Grindr and my Tinder and my Pornhub website and my Plexstorm and my Mixer. And I'm just kidding. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. Padre, what's coming up on your channel?
Well, actually, tomorrow I think I'm going to retry the good old not for broadcast, but on my new computer instead. And after that, I'm actually going to be gone all weekend out to DreamHack Anaheim. I leave out Thursday morning, and I won't be back till like Monday night. So after tomorrow, I won't be streaming again until probably the podcast next week.
Mhm.
But you can always find me at twitch.tv/RevSven. You can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and now Facebook at RevSven TV. And I don't have all those dating sites. I'm scared my wife would catch me, so I'm just latched down to those. I do have a TikTok, but I don't.
What about your
remember
MySpace?
I need to make a new MySpace page. I need to make a new one. I'm going to. You watch. I'll do it.
MySpace is still a thing though. Where?
Somehow the servers are still up. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Tom doesn't own MySpace.
I lost you there.
Shit. Tom does not own MySpace anymore. Sold it for a crisp like $50 million. So, yeah,
That is pretty crisp.
it's more of like a music thing now. It's more of a music scene than anything.
Yeah. Is it like pure volume now?
I don't know. I honestly have not been on it in like years.
Yeah.
My old ridiculous pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's still kicking. Last time I checked, but yeah.
Cool.
What you got, Danny?
Let's see. Coming
you
up
got coming
on
up on
my
your
channel, probably Apex. I've been thinking about doing some, maybe going into some Minecraft. Like I've been having that itch the last couple days. So that will probably be coming up here soon. I wanted to thank you, everybody who came to my 12-hour stream. It actually ended up being a 14-hour stream. We played Apex, Sandstorm. We made cookies, all sorts of other cool shit, all sorts of fun shit. So yeah, big thank you to everyone who came and made that an awesome stream. That was really, really fun. So yeah, that's what's coming up on my channel. I can't think of anything else. So, follow me on Twitter at DannyK and follow me on Instagram at DannyK. DANIECAE. Guys, that's going to do it for the show this week. I want to thank everyone who joined us live on Twitch. There are a lot of things you guys could be doing, and you chose to be here with us, which means a lot to us. Likewise, for audio-only listeners on Google, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the other podcast platforms, and those of you who watch us on watch the VOD on Twitch and on YouTube, you guys can be doing a lot of things with your time, and there's a lot of other like podcasts out there. So it really means a lot to us that you guys take the time to listen and watch us. If you guys missed any part of the show, you can find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And everywhere else podcasts are found. I just actually submitted us to Deezer, and we are there as well. So if you're on Deezer, Deezer, you guys can find us there. If you guys like what we do, there's a couple ways you can help support the show. You guys can follow us all on our individual Twitch channels. You guys can also follow us on all of our social media channels. If you guys like what we do, you guys can also do rating and review on the podcast platform of your choice, and you can tell your friends about us on social media or even face-to-face. People still do that, right? Other than that, guys, have a wonderful rest of your week. We appreciate you guys for being here, and we will see you again next week. Goodbye!
Bye.